Hey, welcome. It's just pretty cool to be here. It's pretty cool to be anywhere, but certainly I'm happy to be here and happy you guys are here. Thank you. So for those of you who are tuning in, this is our, I think, week 5, isn't it, of 7? Yeah, week 5 of 7. Kathy was saying, what are we going to do after this? Monday nights, we'll do something. So I thought tonight we would talk a little bit about beliefs. And we have been kind of talking about beliefs, I mean, all the way along, in a way. But I was inspired today. I listened to a speaker. You know, I wake up on Monday mornings, and my intention on Monday mornings is to kind of open myself up to what this is going to be. So I was actually this morning, it was about 9:30, I had meditated, and I was going through emails, and there was an email from Mind Valley. Who's familiar with Mind Valley? And what's his name? Vishnu? Is that the guy's name? The leader? Anyway, he's a really cool dude and has quite a story, how he's made this amazing company, and his whole thing is carrying a message of awakening and awareness and consciousness, and and he really has associated himself with some amazing people. And he had this lady speaking who I'd heard a little bit before, but today she just caught me because her thing was about beliefs. What was her name?
Marie Sheldon.
Christine Marie Sheldon. Thank you. I knew that. Christie Marie Sheldon. So on YouTube, and I looked her up, and I listened to her a couple of her videos on YouTube, and I was just really impressed because you know what we've been talking about the last few weeks is consciousness. You know, so when we're going along in life, and mostly most of my life quite unaware, you know, just letting emotions run me, letting fear run me, letting, you know, just unaware, but we'll be talking about being conscious of things, conscious of our fears, conscious of our beliefs, conscious of our, and then bringing consciousness to that. So instead of having a judgment on if we're having a feeling, and does anybody know what I mean? When you have a feeling, then you kind of beat yourself up for having the feeling, and that's called having a judgment on a feeling. But to bring just awareness to it is really consciousness. And for most of my adult life, I didn't really realize what consciousness was. I thought, you know, I had to somehow become some mystical being to be able to understand or be conscious. But consciousness is actually what it says. Consciousness. And somehow I'd made up some shit in my mind for a long time in my pursuit of consciousness, and that it couldn't possibly be that simple. Just me being aware of what's happening in the moment. Well, this Christie gal, kind of in her exercise that we did today, took us a little bit further. And so after we meditate, I wanted to do that. And she did a little exercise where, let's say, for me, I did it around money. And because I've, you know, never been really clear around money. I have beliefs, imagine, around money, and what we, you know, when we do it in a little bit, you could do it around relationship. I know you're all clear around relationship, but we could play with it anyway. That was humor. And you know, but we're going to look at some beliefs, and we're going to look at where they started. You know, and her example, she used mom quite a bit, but I mean, it could have been with dad, but it could have been with grandma, right? But where did the belief first start? And And how old were we when something hit us? And it was just I actually listened to her video a couple of times, and mine was around money, and it was around my mom, and it was around, I was like 5 years old, and I realized, I was starting to understand that there was such a thing as money, because even when you're a little guy, they're always, you get a card at your birthday and somebody put $1 in it, and so there was money. I understood it, but I didn't really know that much about it. But what I got from my mom was that there was never enough. My mom had a story around money, and which affected her whole life. And I bought into my mom's story. And Christie took me back to that spot when it happened. And we'll do that tonight around maybe whatever you want, relationship or money, or so we'll play a little bit around beliefs and where they started, and then once we get some awareness around that, then it's easier for us to be more conscious when that belief is coming up again and again, and be more available to release it or to let it go, and it's hard, I think, to let go of things that we aren't aware of, right? Can't. And most of us, I don't know about you guys, I shouldn't say that. For me, it's easier to let go of the things that are glaring. Like, I let go of my alcohol and drug abuse because it was glaring. I kept going to jail. It was like, oh, there's a problem here. But a lot of times beliefs are subtle, or more subtle, where they're kind of, will actually think they're truth. Wars have been started over beliefs that we're certain are true. This is the way it is, and so we'll look at those things a bit tonight. And the idea of letting go, of having a consciousness of what's going on, is allows us to become, if we're not living in a belief or in a story, we can actually live in the present moment. And what happens in the present moment is love. And I mean, all the good stuff really is in the present moment. All the, all like Eckhart Tolle talks about, the power of now. And David Hawkins talks about being present and being here now, and being lifted up into a higher vibration. So I want to wait till JR comes back till we meditate. So just for those of you that are here for the first time, let's give you a little bit of history. We started this, James and I, about a year ago. Actually, I started a little bit before you came tonight, I'm a bit of a grandiose thinker. And I have this idea. We were going to have meditation Mondays, and they were going to be all over the world, and people would be doing meditation Mondays in their basements and inviting their neighbors and all of that. Well, but here we are still doing meditation Mondays, but it's evolved and it's grown, and from where we started when I had a shop, and then we did it there for almost a year, and then a little bit in the house, and then now here in this 7-week series, and I think we'll probably do another 7 weeks starting in January, and do hell no, we'll probably do every Monday. We'll just have our Monday meditations go on and on forever. Did we lose JR? I think we did. Is she? Kath, would you close the door? And then we'll start with our meditation. And for in pretty much all spiritual belief systems, there's the idea of meditation, and it's come kind of, I've become aware that many people, I would say the overwhelming majority of people on the planet are not meditating. And often it's because we have this idea that we don't know how. Or that it's something, like more than it is. So when I talk about meditation or I teach meditation, it's really simple. So this is, the thing that I think is sometimes the block for people is that they think that they have to follow a certain belief system or religious teaching, or that they have to be a devotee of some kind of a teacher, and that's just not true. I'd like to open the door really, really wide for lots and lots of people to recognize that, that to just sit and watch the mind, just sit and be in the breath, and to make a practice of sitting on a regular basis is amazing. I keep thinking I'm going to do this, and I never have, but there's like a whole list of health benefits, right? Like tons and tons of things that have been proven in laboratory settings to be, that's amazingly beneficial for our physical health. But that's a given, and then the possibility of becoming more conscious through meditation and really getting to know ourselves in a way is a possibility. And so what I'm going to suggest is when we meditate, the thing that comes up for a lot of people is that they have trouble with their mind. They say, well, I can't meditate because my mind won't stop. Guess what? Welcome to the club. Our mind is an amazing tool, and it's busy, and its job is to look after us, and for many of us, it's been the lead. It's actually a tool. It works for us, but we've let it run the show, and often the mind is limited in its perception of the planet, and so it sees just a small bit, and it's the bit that pertains to us. So it's usually focused quite selfishly on what's going on around us, and if nothing's really going on, then it'll just make shit up, because it likes to make shit up, and so watch it, just watch it, and I talk to it sometimes and tell it that it's safe, that we're just going to sit here for 10 minutes or so, and that there's nothing to worry about. We can just relax and let go, and almost like a child, that you can just talk to it like it's a little one and say, we're okay, we're safe, it's all right, and I'm just going to sit here, and then watch it. If it comes up with something really important, like, oh my gosh, I think you left the car running. Did you lock the doors in the truck? And things like that. And I've had thoughts come in the middle of a meditation that have actually got me right up from where, like I'm halfway across the room before I realize that it's just a thought, and not so much anymore. But so that'll happen. Just watch them, and the way to get into the moment or back into presence is through the breath. So if a thought comes and all of a sudden you're thinking about, oh my God, why did she say that? And what did they mean? And they're probably not coming at Christmas. All the stuff that gets going. Just drop back into the breath. And the breath is always now. The breath is always now. So we're not really going to do a guided meditation. We're just going to stop right now and close our eyes and be in a comfortable position, and just sit and watch, and watch the mind as it does what it does. And all right, hopefully you're in a comfortable spot. Your eyes are closed, and just for a minute, watch the breath. Breathe in. The breath is always here, always now. Just bring your consciousness into your body. Feel wherever you're sitting. Feel your feet on the floor if they are, or crossed if they are. Just watch. And if the mind's busy, remember, it's a tool and it's so important. We love it. It's our friend. It believes it's here to look after us. Thanks, you guys. It's interesting when we talk about belief systems. The longer that I have explored this thing, the more I get that I'm just full of shit. That all of my ideas about life came from a long line of well-meaning folks that were affected by their religions, by their customs, by their superstitions, by their fears, you know. And I came from a kind of a Scottish descent. We had our brand of bullshit, and God bless them. And not to offend anyone. But so if that's true, that my ideas about life, for the most part, are not true, then do I want to go just find a new theory? Or would I like to be able to be connected to the source of life and live, you know, in a state of acceptance and love? Well, I've got bookshelves full of theories, right? I mean, I spent the last 4 years trying to figure out how to do this. And a lot of it was good stuff. I mean, you know, good philosophies and moral fiber stuff, you know, the rights and wrongs, and goods and bads, and you know, but much of it comes from that concept that there's a right or a wrong or a good or a bad, and that you know, and when I believe that, then I'm always trying to get it right, and if consciousness in each moment can help me to see that when I'm operating out of fear, when I'm operating out of an antiquated belief system, consciousness can help me to see that, then you know, tune into that, and meditation can make me more sensitive to that possibility in me and in those around me, you know, then I think that I can live in a more balanced way. I guess the word is balanced, and so that's the possibility. I think if we decide that that's what we'd like, you know. But most of us, our conditioning's really strong that we don't actually want to live in a balanced way. We want more stuff, right? We want more stuff, and we want to find the right guy, or we want to find the right gal, or we want to have, you know, our kids be a certain way, or we're really quite goal orientated, and we've been conditioned that way, haven't we? You know, we got to have the right stuff, got to have the right labels on our clothes and the right vehicle to drive, and we got to live in the right neighborhood, and so we're kind of bought into that story, and that doesn't have much to do with consciousness, and I have to be honest and say that a lot of my motivation in wanting to be more aware or more conscious was so I could have more stuff, right? And for a long time it was like, so if I ever, you know, kind of get myself straightened out enough that, you know, more stuff will be attracted. And and that's another story that we hear a lot, isn't it? If we get ourselves just okay, then, and if stuff's not attractive, it must be something, or not attracted to us, we're not getting all the stuff we want, it must be something we're doing wrong. And we blame ourselves, and then we end up being, in a way, in a spot where we're beating ourselves up and not feeling good enough, or we're out of balance. And I think that idea that I'm not good enough is a strong belief system that we all have, to one extent or another. So I thought we'd use this thing that I found today and just do one belief system, just for fun. And this is not therapy. It's not. I think therapy often is just, therapy's kind of like rearranging the seats on the Titanic, and in a way, no slight meant to any therapists in the room or watching, but sometimes, we're just moving shit around, beliefs around, or we're just recontextualizing them a little bit, or we're reframing things that happened in our lives, but we still end up with the same, bucket of stuff, and just maybe painted a different color. So this thing that she gave us today was this amazing way. And Hawkins says that, I've talked about David Hawkins, Dr. David Hawkins. Hawkins says that as we let go, he wrote, his final book was called Letting Go. If we let go of stuff, we're actually like a cork. And a cork in the water, as it, lightens up, it goes up, and he has this scale, and where, at the top of his scale is Christ consciousness at 1,000, and unconditional love is at 540, and courage is at 200, and his scale, which was 0 to 1,000, and below 200 was, grief and apathy and fear and anger and shame and guilt, and all of those things were down there. And many of us, I remember reading about all this thing, and I'd read about guilt, and I'd think, oh gosh, I'm just full of guilt. And I'd read about shame, and I'm full of shame. But then I'd read about unconditional love, and I think, my gosh, I'm full of unconditional love. And so I think we have all of those things in us, and all of those states of being in us, and joy and acceptance, but if we look at our beliefs, though, the things in us that kind of like we're a computer, and it's a glitch or a virus in the program sometimes. Do you know what I mean? The whole program is tilted this way because of a certain belief, and I thought, do you guys want to do it on money or relationships? Huh? They're both good? Yeah, aren't they? Yeah. So let's do it this way. You decide if, we'll go through this little exercise, and you can do it in relation to money, or you can do it in relation to relationships, the idea of being in a couple, which is really strong in our society. We have a lot of judgment on ourselves if we're not in that, we have, I remember how much judgment I had on myself when I got divorced. I was a failure, and I wasn't sure, so I did it again, and I just, so there's a lot of strong beliefs and story around both money and relationships, and so we can play with both. You guys decide when you do your thing where you want to be at, and I'll try to, as I talk about them, I'll try to include either or in the idea. And
I find relationship with money and relationship with people are pretty much the same.
Oh, don't confuse things, James. Jesus. Who asked you? But thank you. Yes, you know, but now I'm gone now. Anyway, but there's no doubt, you know, that if we could be in the moment with both. Yes,
Because I'm not good enough to receive. I'm not good enough to receive from that person.
Yes.
I'm unworthy of that person. I'm unworthy of the money.
Well, even the idea of receiving could be a belief system.
Well,
So let's just leave your intention out of it, and imagine that everybody's going to go on their own journey. And so I don't want to paint it one way or the other for anybody. You know, maybe it's not about receiving. Maybe it's about giving. Maybe it's not about either. So let's just see where it takes us. And is everybody up for this? Yeah, we'll do this. James, you up for this? All right, we'll play with it. So whether it's about money or whether it's about relating with a partner.
do I have to time this?
Pardon me?
Do I have to time it?
No. We're going to make an attempt to just, so everybody's going to be really comfortable. You can close your eyes if you want. You can open them, whatever you like. And we're going to ask the question of ourselves, basically, where did the belief come from? Where did the idea say, whether it's around money or whether it's around relating? And let's use mom, for instance, okay? Because many of us got our ideas around life from mom. And we'll also do dad in a minute. But let's just do mom first. And whether it's around money or around relating, in your memory, just imagine, and with intuition, the first thing that comes is how we pay attention to intuition. So you're back in, you know, maybe you're 5 or 6 or 4, and you're you know, in the single digits, early in the single digits. You're probably older than 3, but 4, 5, 6, and something happened. For me, when I did the exercise today, the vision that came was I was in a grocery store with my mom, and we had an account there that my dad paid, and my mom didn't know how to write a check. She didn't know any of those things around money, and so just where were you? Feel into this idea of where you were with your mom at the time, and when this idea came to you around money or relating, that became a foundational idea for us in that area. And if you've got that, if you can think of that, it's like it became a belief, or it came, you know, a part of the fiber of our existence, this thing that happened with mom. And if you're there with that, T, I'm doing this whole thing for you. So if you're there with that, see if you can establish in the moment right now how old you were. What time was that in your life? Just remember that, how old you were, and where in our body, right now, just where in our body can you feel that belief? If you can feel it in your body, where could you? And for me, the intuition was that I could feel it in my shoulders today when I did this exercise. It was like, oh, this thing that I got from my mom around money, I could feel it in my shoulders. And And when you're examining this belief or this situation that was instrumental in creating your psyche, really, in one of these areas, what emotion would you associate with it? What emotion comes to mind right away around that situation? So we can be conscious of the event or your mom's story about either money or relationship that you adopted, that started to become your story about that area, and you can feel it in your body, you can feel it as an emotion. You know that it's ridden with you all this time. And we're going to just take a minute as we're sitting here and you know what this is, and we're going to call in light into this event, into this moment with Mom. We're going to call in light, and let's surround ourselves just totally with light. Let's imagine light coming in through our head, light coming in through our feet, and light coming in through every bit of our body. And at the same time, that light is going through time and space and dimensions to be with you in that moment, or that time when this thing was born. And that light or love, we can call it love as well as light. We can call it infinite intelligence. We can call it God if we want. Just fractures that moment, fractures that belief. And that light transmutes and clears that belief. So to transmute is to change and to have it begin to just dissolve. The light travels across all time, all dimensions, and all space, and all reality. And we actually ask for, in our mind right now, we ask that belief or that idea that's ridden with us ever since about one of those things around money or around relationship, that we transmute that across all time, all dimensions, all space, and all reality, and that it is basically evaporates. It's transmuted into nothing. And any time, if this comes back in the future, we can do this. We can surround ourselves in light and take that light into the consciousness of the moment when the emotion has come up again and maybe that old belief around relating has come up again, and we can ask that it be cleared and transmuted across all time, all dimensions, all space, and all reality. So we're bringing the power of this moment into our whole lives, across time, space, dimensions, reality, to bring that whole thing into this moment, into this love, into this light. We can practice this with every belief, everything that comes up that we sometimes look at and say, wow, where did that come from? Well, we can actually ask the question and go back to where it began, with Mom or with Dad, with Grandma, in school. We can use this around feelings of not good enough, which are just not true. It's a belief. Feelings of not smart enough, feelings of not enough in any way, shape, or form. We can just use this energy in this moment, in this practice, to dissolve them into this moment. And then we're lifted up into consciousness, into love, into peace. Peace that passeth all understanding, the peace that we can't even speak about, because it's just in the now. All needs can evaporate. Everything that we think we need has come out of a belief. We are complete in this moment. When you're ready, you can just come back. So, one of the other things that she suggested is ABC. Always be connecting. So, with this moment, to be connecting means to we have kind of the mantra, always be connecting, and the connecting is to the moment. Connecting is to higher self in this moment. And we can use so many different concepts of what is in the moment. Love, always be connecting to love, always be connecting to God, always be connecting to now. Did anybody want to share a little bit of what came up? Or you might have to speak up, because there is a mic, and although we could even hand it around a bit, James has got his hands on it. Nathaniel, anything come? Did you have an experience? Did you meet Mum? Did you? Tell us about it.
Passing this around is probably making so much noise.
Maybe.
To the people that are listening.
I'm imagining they'll be okay with it.
Yeah, so I was thinking about money, my relationship with money.
Yes.
And I always judge myself if I spend it in a way, well, if I spend any of my damn money, I'm like, oh, I feel bad about it, right? So I don't like spending money, I just like to save money. Yeah, so I was thinking about that. Where did that belief come from? And I remember a conversation when I was probably a teenager, just young, with my mom's. My mom was really poor. I grew up in a really poor family, right? She was on welfare with 3 kids. She always complained about money, so I saw her one time going out and buying a bunch of chips and chocolate bars and stuff. I said to her, I was like, man, you're going to waste all that money like that? And her response was something like, I'll do whatever I want with my money. I'll spend it. Don't worry about it, right? So ever since that moment, I could think that I've always kind of judged myself. If I spend my money on something that I think is not really necessary, then I kind of kick myself in the ass for it. So that's what happened with me. And then you started praying about transcending back into time and trying to dissolve that belief. It was a good feeling to kind of let that go a little bit. You know, hopefully as I wake up tomorrow, the next day, I can remind myself not to beat myself up for judging myself about being wasteful. You know, half the time it's not even wasteful, it's just spending money where I need to spend it anyway. All right.
So it's interesting is that the money idea like that it comes from a belief that there's a shortage in money. Mm-hmm. That, you know, I think most of us, for sure me, you know, my mom taught me that we didn't have enough. There was never enough, that, you know, I couldn't have things. The extension of my little story is we were at the grocery store and I wanted a chocolate bar, And she said, no, we don't have money for that. And I was like 4 or 5 and I stole it. And I got caught. And I didn't realize that at the time, I don't think I knew I was stealing. I just wanted it, and you know, she wasn't going to buy it, so I was going to get it on my own. And it didn't go over so well, but you know, but that was really knocked into me that, you know, that there was this shortage of money. And I think I've carried it with me my whole life, and at one level or another. And so I am open to dissolving that belief. I am available to dissolve that belief, and I want to help others to dissolve that belief. And yeah. What happened for you?
Yeah, I also was thinking about money and my mom, and yeah, I pictured my mom in our old family house, and she was saying like, oh, that's junk, or oh, that's too expensive, when I would like say, oh mom, I want this. Felt like I was like maybe 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I just remember feeling like when you asked what the emotion was that was attached with that, I was like, shame. I shouldn't want those things. That's junk. That's too expensive. I shouldn't express like when I need something or when I have a desire for something. Yeah, and I felt it like in my throat, which made me feel like it's really about expression. But yeah, the way I work with money is also like very controlled. I try to spend like as little as possible, and any amount that I spend is like a failure. And I never have enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What emotion? You talk about where you felt it in your body. What emotion came with it?
Oh, like I think if I had sat with it longer, I probably could have cried.
Yeah. So sadness?
Yeah, very sad and tense and afraid.
Wow.
Yeah, I never made that connection, because that's still how my mom reacts. Like
Yeah.
when I talk to her about it, oh, you shouldn't get that. Like,
Yeah.
oh. Yeah. So it's there.
Wow. So it's neat how, in my opinion, I guess, is that we think we have to work on these beliefs. And yet, what this lady was sharing today is that we can actually dissolve them. You know, we can just bring light into the consciousness of the belief when it comes up. The next time you go there with, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, or you know, or the sadness comes around it, or just to, you know, stop and call in the light and the consciousness to that belief, and it will continue to melt, and everything that I've learned is that we lift up, you know, and to a place of abundance, and I mean, we live in an absolutely endless, abundant world, and so yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, Nathaniel, did you feel it in your body?
Yeah, I felt it in my shoulders, but I don't know if that's because I was working too hard today or what.
And any emotion come with it around money?
Yeah, it was, I don't know what the word is for that emotion, but it's just tension and kind of, I guess a little bit of guilt around spending money. There's like fear and apprehension too about not having enough, you know, and then it starts affecting my
It's like a cocktail.
What's that?
A cocktail of emotion,
Yeah,
you know,
a few different ones.
a mix of, I can't relate. Ha.
It's interesting because I instantly dropped into it. My shoulders just went like this,
Yes?
and I was like closing off, and it was fear. But
Yeah.
I was taught, we had lots of money growing up, but I was taught from a very small age that it was created by the devil. So
Bugger.
I see the picture of the devil when I thought about money in that moment, and it created a lot of fear.
In God we trust.
So that I think spending money, I just didn't even think about what I was doing when I was spending money. I wasn't even putting any I was just, yeah.
So your idea around money came not only from your mom and dad, but also from the church then?
Yeah.
Wow. So
Because we always had, I was able to buy whatever I wanted whenever I asked for it. They gave it to me. But I always put the idea of money as the devil.
nice.
Created it. So I probably even relationship with what the things that I got probably had quite a story around it too.
Yeah. Because it, you know, everything came in the door because of money, then it's all,
The devil.
wow.
Well, and that's how I looked at the world. Everything was evil. So I mean, I've done a lot of work around that. So I mean, but I recognize, like, the instant I recognize where it came from, I relaxed quite quickly because I am quite relaxed around it now. But I recognize when I went back.
That's
to that
why you have
story.
so much, right?
Huh?
Is that, that's
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what is it that this has been up for me forever, for my whole life, you know, and I look at the man who, or the woman who's, you know, making $1 million a year, and then, you know, is that person working 10 times more hours than me? No. You know, making 10 times the money in some of my good years, you know, and are they 10 times smarter? No. All, what is it? It was my beliefs, you know, that either holds it at bay, you know, and so I'm really open to dissolving those. And I think that what happens though is that I don't reshape them with a new belief. I just surrender them and trust.
That pattern, seeing that pattern, like the more work I do on myself as I see patterns.
I totally disagree. I don't think we can work our way out of this one. I've got 40 years of trying. I don't think we can work our way out of it. We have to surrender it.
Yeah.
We have to let it go and continue to bring consciousness to it, because I have affirmation my way through. I've storybooked it.
But even following the pattern of abundance, seeing how abundance comes. So seeing that pattern is also part of the pattern. Like recognizing, okay, if I do this, that's bringing this, and allowing it.
But if you have a fundamental belief, James, a fundamental belief that's in the core, it just doesn't matter. We can do all that we want. We can scream the goals, you know, the affirmations at the top of the lungs. If I have a fundamental belief that money is scarce, and that or money's from the devil, or, you know, what's the one about the rich man getting to heaven? The camel through the eye of the needle. It's easier to pull a camel through the eye of the needle than a rich man to get to heaven.
Well, and that's
Holy
bringing
shit.
love to the money. That's
Yeah.
where I've been working on, is bringing love to money and seeing where love, how it creates love.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I hear you. I don't believe you, but I hear you. We'll talk about it more. Is anybody else? Kathy, you wanted to share?
One thing that came to mind was,
Yep.
I was thinking about how this thing with money,
Yes.
that is really a relationship. When we talk about relationships, there's different types of relationships. There's relationships with human beings. There's relationships with our finances. There's relationships with nature.
Mm-hmm.
For myself, my relationship with my finances, I also had a scarcity background.
Mm-hmm.
So felt always fear surrounding money and spending, and shame when I wanted to buy something.
So how do you feel now about money?
Money.
Right now.
I'm good, and I've released that
Uh-huh.
scarcity view
Yeah?
somehow over my life, and I will allow myself to donate money just because it enforces the belief that I have enough, that I'm not going to be a poor person struggling in retirement, and so I do things like that to help release it,
Yeah.
because it gets back to what we talked about last week, was truth. finding the truth, right?
Yes. I don't know. I have this thing. If I trust the moment, if I trust, well, I've learned that I can't manage my life. I just can't. I've tried my whole life to try to manage my life, and the only way that I can seem to be content is if I surrender in each moment, and because I've read more books of tricks about how to kind of wiggle my way through, and it doesn't work for me. I believe that the only thing that works is being here now, and that we lift up, and now if being here now means that I never have any money, then I'm totally okay with that. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
There's a lot of letting go.
yeah, I'm totally okay with if I never have any money, if I never have, and that's okay. It's like, it's hard to even say that, and or if I never meet and fall in love again with another lady in my life, it's not my business. My business is to be here now, and as I'm here now in each moment, I believe that I can open up to this moment with love, and it's convincing that the intellect is very convincing that we should be able to figure this out, that we should be able to manage life, and yet we don't.
Our intellect gets in the way.
Well, of course it does, and that's what just. So imagine that our intellect says, "Oh, I got money figured out. I got it figured out," and I even give some away so that I can tell it that I'm not worried about not having it. So that's coming from a belief, or coming from and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just if I'm doing that, I'm managing, and I do that. I'll give money to people on the street, and I'll think in my mind, there, I've tithed, I've tithed, so I've kept the flow going, and it's my ego justifying and trying to tell me that it knows how to operate here, but if I'm operating from my ego, from my belief systems, and it just, well, it hasn't worked. I guess it has worked. I'm still here, but I think that the highest possibility for us to be in our largest, our fullest potential is in surrender in this moment, but we want stuff. Did anybody do like relationships kind of with like a partner, a man or a woman, or yeah? Did you?
Mm-hmm.
How'd it go?
So I saw myself at probably 3 or 4, and my mom was holding me, and we both had because my mom and dad's marriage had been very abusive, and so I felt it in my guts, and I was afraid, and I was anxious, and I didn't feel like there was trust possible in relationships, and it was pretty overwhelming. And bringing the light in, it brought tears. It was just pretty beautiful to allow that to just and send that. It was incredibly powerful to hear that we can send that through the years and the dimensions and everywhere, and so I feel like I've started to dissolve that. Definitely.
Nice.
It's not gone. But, allowing that love and that light to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. Really awesome.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine that it could be that simple.
Mm.
That we could just dissolve it. Like, and that we wouldn't, I mean, maybe we would fall into another belief system, but maybe we would lift up to a, you know, to a much higher space of unconditional love. Maybe we'd never need to be in another relationship. Or maybe we would never call it a relationship again.
Or maybe we wouldn't be afraid of them.
Yeah, it would just be with each other in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a teacher who called it a relating. It's not a relationship. He used to say that relationships are the ship that sinks. Ships, all, you know. He said, let's call it a relating. Be together in each moment, and as opposed to, you know, you promised. You know, a contractual idea, which was often, I think, created out of fear. You know, and that not always. I mean, I think if we stay when it's done, sometimes that's out of fear. You know, I mean, I've been at, I've personally been at events where people have gotten unionized, you know, came together, and it seemed to be out of love. It really did. It seemed to be in the moment out of love, but if we're not willing to do the work not on the relationship but on ourselves, that it becomes more difficult to be there, you know, because well, that's a whole other story. But anybody else do relationship or relating?
I tried to just put myself back with my mom, and all I could see was this crystal rose that she was given by my dad. And I couldn't place it, but I could feel it. I could just feel it in my throat, where all I wanted to do was scream and cry, but I'm in a room of people. So I just allowed it to like flow through me, and then listening to everybody else pieced it all together for me, with that it's joined for me, that a relationship is, it's hard to say, sorry. So you have to owe something in a relationship. You owe your physical form in a relationship, and then
So you're talking about me or you?
me.
Okay.
For me, I owe
Yes.
my physical form
Yeah.
in a relationship, and then it gets reinforced with a beautiful gift, right? So money is directly tied with that for me in a way. And then when I was listening to you speak about your mother and being a daughter at that age, I have girls the same age, and then I go into that piece of what I'm then teaching my children, and then how they can actually teach me to be there with it. So if I do have some extra money and I want to get them a chocolate bar, then I can appreciate that moment. And if I can't get them an extra chocolate bar, then I can appreciate that as well, that sometimes we just can and we can't. So for me, it wasn't one or the other,
Nice.
and it all came together from everyone else. So thank you.
Nice. I mean, that always, when we have a conversation like this, does come back for most of us to what are we sharing with our own, you know, if we have kids or grandkids, or, you know, and how are we, you know, it's so easy to talk about things as if they're fixed, you know, like we're always broke, or, you know, or there's a shortage of good men. You know, as if it's a fixed thing, and we could tell our daughters that, and you know, so yeah, our belief systems we get carried from us to the next generation and to the next generation, and it's a doesn't being really just being here now doesn't sell very well. You know, because mostly on the planet we're selling hope, and in a way there's no hope in the moment. There's just the moment. You know, so we let go of hope. Because hope takes us out of the moment. So can you imagine? I mean, there's really very little to do in the moment. But it does, the whole idea, the whole concept actually doesn't sell very well, because it's, you know, we want more. We want, you know, and I think that's leads to a sense of dissatisfaction in our lives, because we're not really here, and we're in an idea of here, or we're in a you know, a belief system of something coming in the future, and like the good relationship, or the full bank account, or the and you know, if we're not here in gratitude, I think, and even gratitude, I'm not so sure about, you know, because does gratitude actually bring us into the moment? Maybe it does. Maybe gratitude and love are kind of like the same in a way, you know.
It creates a feeling.
Pardon me?
It creates a feeling, a vibration in the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the word itself has some meaning behind it, or an idea behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the vibration. I mean, when I think of money, I close off, so I get fearful of it. So I'm not going to create money. It's like anything. It's even relationships. If I'm afraid of being in a relationship and I actually get into a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
that relationship's going to be full of fear.
Yeah.
It's going to be just chaos.
Yes. So love is,
It allows that flow.
yes. Yeah. Do you remember they used to say, there's no problem with money, it's the love of money that's going to get you, you know. And I mean, I don't think, my mom said that, but I'm sure I watched it on TV or something. You know, the priest said it or the minister said it, you know, the love of money, and they passed the plate.
I was thinking about just even my childhood. Adam and Eve. Eve was the creator of sin.
Yeah.
So that story is strong. So I think the woman as sin.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of
Stuff.
for everybody. There's a lot of emotion around things, and then that trauma.
So Eve got us in trouble in the first place.
Apparently.
I can't even imagine.
But it's just the emotion. If we can lift ourselves, like when I saw how I felt about money, how it was evil, I was like, no, I changed my posture, opened myself up to
Yep.
it, and I relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much the same as melting it away. So if all of a sudden I recognize that when I'm thinking about money, I'm like, oh.
Well, certainly it is. I hear what you're saying, because what you're saying is that you became conscious of what was happening,
Yeah.
and in the moment you surrendered,
Yeah.
and in surrendering you opened up.
It's like even speaking to somebody and you see somebody on a pedestal and you're afraid to talk to them because you think that they're whatever the mind creates that they are.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see them as the same as you see money or whatever you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
you're now open to it.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that love is the idea of being with somebody who's actually open to love, who's really in each moment available to love, not love as they're just love, like a child, like a little, like he's gone right in my mind. What's his Wilder, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wilder. How old's Wilder? 14 months. And Wilder's just love. And, you know, and we all want to hang out with him, you know. But he's the love in a really safe way. I had a teacher who I felt vibrated the highest of any man I ever spent time with on the planet, and his love, when I would be with him, I didn't know there was nothing to say. It would just fill the room, and I'd often have all kinds of things in my mind that I was going to talk to him about when I got there, and then it would just all, because we would be lifted above it. It would all be gone, and which was, pretty amazing. My gosh. Does that say 8? Oh my gosh. There we go. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. We're going to meditate again, and hopefully just the idea of looking at belief systems, and we're in an interesting time, because here we are. The whole idea of mental wellness has, or mental illness or mental health has come out so big and so strong, and yet I don't know that rearranging the brand of therapy that we have these days, I don't know if it's helpful, and so what are we doing? We're putting people on drugs, to numb them out, so that they're not feeling what needs to be felt. And I think that consciousness and connection, always be connecting with the moment, with God, with the light, with love, is the answer. And far be it, I don't have a doctorate degree to say that. My doctorate is in my experience and in the teachings for all these years. And I think that that's the answer. Being here in this moment, experiencing love and life, because I think they're the same, love and life, and is how we attain freedom. And consciousness teaches us to see what's going on. When we're in fear, when we're judgment of ourselves and others, to bring consciousness to that, which is love and light, and it melts away. So that's the practice. Meditation gives us the ability to be here in a comfortable way, and to experience ourselves, to get to know, who we are, and I think that if we adopt the idea, has anybody ever said this? That's just the way I am. That's it. And that comes from not knowing that there's a way out. It comes from, like, how do I change? How do I become more at peace? Well, connecting with Source brings us into peace, and practicing that on a moment-to-moment basis, and connecting with Source brings us into love, and into our intuition, into our supernatural powers, that we have of lifting people up. So let's practice that in meditation. We're going to meditate again, but instead of coming back after and me saying a few words after, when we're finished, we'll be finished. And when James rings the bell, and we're just going to meditate for 10 minutes, and I'd love you to join us again. Yeah, thanks so much for being here. And I'm just talking to these guys now for a moment, but love it if you follow us on YouTube, and on our Facebook page too. And we have a Facebook group called Project Awakening. I don't know. I think it's called Project Awakening. And we're going to focus a little bit more on the group going forward. But anyway, let's meditate for another 10 minutes and practice it. For those of you that just tuned in, it's just sitting, watching the thoughts, coming back to the breath. Watching the thoughts, coming back to the breath. Being here in your body, feel your body, be in your feet. That's, by the way, another way to be present. If you're walking, bring your attention to your feet. And if you're in your feet when you're walking, you're here. You the mind can't think about more than one thing at a time. So even though it seems like there's a million thoughts going on, if we're in our feet and we're in our breath, that's where we are. And so I encourage you to join us there. And yeah, follow us on YouTube. I'd love, if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, you want to just chat, I'm available. And I'm also available to just sit one-on-one and talk about all the stuff that we're talking about. So love you guys, and thank you. I have got so much from doing these. You know, it's been amazing for me. So we've got 2 more Monday nights, and then we'll break for Christmas. Also, just to mention that on the 15th of December, we're going to have a potluck at my house. So if you're in town and you're watching, we'd love you to come. It'll kind of be like a 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock thing on Sunday the 15th. Oh.
Market as well.
Oh yeah, one more thing, James reminded me. We have like a marketplace going on at the house on the weekends between now and Christmas. Some of you know that we had a store, Valley and Beyond, and we closed the store. And there's a lot of cool stuff, you know, incense, and I mean, there's just a lot of cool stuff, meditation stools, and lots of stuff left. And we'd love you to come and get a unique gift for Christmas for yourself or others. Thanks you guys for coming, and let's meditate together, and we'll hang around after if you want to just chat a bit and hang out, and that's it. Love you guys. So we'll close our eyes and just drop into your breath. If you're here and you're not used to meditating, you don't have to start with 10 minutes. You can start with 3 minutes. Start with this, you know, just sit for 3 minutes, and, you know, set the timer on your phone and for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and just forget about everything and be here now. Try a daily practice. Remember, watch the breath. Just imagine this moment full of light. And that light is inside of you, inside of each one of us. In our hearts, and it just vibrates out, pulses. Beautiful pink light into the room. Expanding through your breath.